Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fireside Paranormal Podcast. My name is Jordan Cline, and I have another fun show for you today. I have author Amanda Crouch. She goes by A.L. Crouch. Before we get to that, though, I have a couple things that I would like to talk about. First being Wicked Cat Clothing. Spooky season doesn't have to last just a month. Shop Wicked Cat Clothing year-round to get your horror, paranormal, spooky, and Halloween apparel. Go to wickedcatclothing.com and shop apparel and accessories now, and save 30% off with code Fireside30. They do have a very limited supply left of Krampus merch, so while it's on sale and you got that Fireside 30, go ahead and go to their website, wickedcatclothing.com, and get the rest of that Krampus merch. Also, this weekend was the Hidden Marietta Paranormal Expo. Sarah and I got to go to it, and we had a blast. There were over 500 guests that came there. I do believe that's what I read earlier. It was packed, got to meet a lot of really cool people. We were actually able to see some folks that we've had on the show, some guests that are already scheduled to come on the show. We got to meet some of our listeners and folks that followed us on social media. We got a lot of really cool featured stories, so a lot of folks were coming to the table and telling us what was going on with them and some of their stories. So we're really excited to share those with you guys. One of those stories is actually from one of the folks that put on the event. Her name is Viva. She's with the Hidden Marietta Tour Company. She came over and sat down with us. So our featured story this week is Viva.
Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing? This is your girl Viva here from Hidden Marietta Tour Company, live at the Paranormal Expo that we hold here at the historic Lafayette Hotel in Marietta, Ohio. I am happy to present to you guys this evening, afternoon, whatever time you're listening to this, because quite frankly, this place is alive. No matter how many dead spirits might be walking around, this place is definitely having a lot of living action on today. Oh, hi. Well, just to kind of give you guys a quick spiel about me, my name is Viva. I am the co-owner to Hidden Marietta Tour Company. We are based in Marietta, Ohio, and the few things that we specialize in are historics, as well as the paranormal. We absolutely love to learn about history. We love to learn about anything paranormal, but of course you can't have the paranormal without knowing the history itself. So we always love to do research on a constant basis. We love to make sure that every story that we tell is all factual and it's going to give the people that have passed on, give them some life, because of course, even though the paranormal is definitely very spooky at times, they used to be alive, and we try to bring some humility to those paranormal spirits and whatnot. We do have our Paranormal Expo at the Lafayette Hotel every year. This is our fourth one that we've held, so we are absolutely happy and elated the fact that we are still able to have this. Of course, it's cold outside. Wintertime is not the typical time for people to have expos and conventions and whatnot, but we feel like this would be the prime time because it's the off season for a lot of places. So it's really nice for people to be able to come out and enjoy the paranormal, even when it is a little bit cold outside. We've had quite a few people come in dressed up and everything, really ready to kind of take care, help with the festivities of it all. I'm dressed up a little bit. I got my corset and my everything on. They got medieval clothing on over there. They look super cool. They got the hoop skirts and everything. It's so awesome. But it's so nice to see such a wonderful community because a lot of times people do forget, of course, the paranormal is very spooky. The cryptid is very, mysterious and stuff. But it's a community, and it's a very forgiving and very open and friendly community. A lot of people lose sight of that a lot of times. It's not all, dude, oh my God, it's a demon. It's literally not that all the time. It's a lot of people just having the same interests, the same camaraderie, and just wanting to get to know each other, wanting to get to know all the different places that they've done investigations and everything. Been here at the Lafayette Hotel, though, it's kind of like coming back home in a way. We've investigated here several different times. I actually used to work here a long time ago, very long time ago. Seems like it was eons ago. But it seemed like on a regular basis we would constantly have stuff going on. Whenever I worked here at the hotel, and even now we still have guests that come to the hotel that refuse to stay here because something happens to them while they are staying in their room. Or whenever we do have investigations and ghost hunts here, we usually do like an hour tour, hour and a half-ish tour throughout the hotel, and then like a 30-minute investigation. And even in those 30 minutes, we still have like so many things happening, so much activity. And I think it's just a matter of the fact that a lot of people, whenever they come to the hotel, they're here to be comfortable. They're here to have a vacation, you know, or a little staycation, depending on if they are local or not. But they end up having things happen to them. And I think a lot of times when you don't have people that are here specifically to reach out and try to get to know and see what's here, what might be going on here, they do get a little restless. So whenever people actually are here to investigate, to try to get those answers, to try to see what's here, it helps them gain the energy to be able to show themselves and speak out and do what they need to do. We never have a dull moment when it comes to investigating here. We've had shadow figures. There is one infamous spirit here called the Shadow Man, the Grinning Man. I apologize. The only thing, if anybody knows about the legend of Ingrid Cold, do you know that legend? Okay. We kind of compare it to him because he's just a man who is kind of like dressed up, has a huge smile on his face, and is very, very creepy, very like Cheshire Cat-like in the way that he looks in his face. And several people have seen him throughout the hotel, not only like here on the lobby floor, but also upstairs in their room. One instance, we actually had someone do one of our tours. They were staying here at the hotel, and they had said, "Oh, there's not too many like things going on." They're kind of skeptical, for lack of better words. They did our tour with us. They did our little investigation. A few things happened, but they were just like, "Oh, it's whatever." So they went out to eat afterwards, and they got on the elevator to go upstairs to their room. And once they got to their room, even though the heat was on, they said it felt really cold in the room. They went to sleep sometime that evening, and they actually said that they just kept feeling as though somebody was watching them in the room. And one of them actually said that they did think that they saw a man in like one of the chairs in the room just smiling at them, but they were kind of in like a sleeping sort of state. So of course, even though paranormal, woo, yay, we love spooky, you also have to try to disprove things, you know, because the last thing, okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, for those of you that don't know as well, we're right on the Ohio River. So Mr. Cold's story, when it ties into the Mothman, is actually in this area we're at, not too far from here.
Yes, absolutely. And the cool thing about this area as well is not only are we on the Ohio River, we're also on the Muskingum River. So we have the confluence of both of those rivers, and the history of the town itself, it has a very large Native American past, and a lot of the Native Americans, the indigenous people to this area and all the Native Americans throughout history know that water can be sort of a conduit for spirits. They can kind of bring spirits in and take them away, and they can be very spiritual in nature. They can be very spiritual in nature when it comes to like running water and whatnot. So it's definitely very, very interesting to have a hotel like this be right here on the confluence of both of those rivers. It makes for a very interesting time and a very interesting investigation for sure. Oh yeah. Now, with being here at the Lafayette Hotel, Marietta itself has had a very large historic and paranormal past. But the one thing I would absolutely say is that another place that we do investigations is the Anchorage here in town. The Anchorage is a 161-year-old Victorian mansion on the top of a hill. It's absolutely beautiful, especially during the wintertime, especially during the summertime. All the flowers bloom around it. It's really, really nice. But it's 160 years old. Several different owners passed away there. And then it also operated as a nursing home for about 26 years. So obviously there was a lot of death going through that house overall. And I think as of right now, because HIPAA is a thing, the nursing home closed in 1986, so HIPAA was kind of a thing within the 70s and the 80s and whatnot. But as of right now, we've estimated about just a little bit, maybe a little bit over 80 people have passed away in the house over the 161-year time span. So we have our shop, our office is located there. So even when we're in the shop, we're in the office, we'll hear footsteps up above us. We'll hear giggling because there's children's spirits there in the house. We'll hear like furniture moving, doors slamming. We'll hear whispering in our ear. We have one of the spirits there. He's Eddie McTaggart. He's one of the previous owners that passed away, and he is so sweet. But he absolutely hates the decor because it's like very like gothic-y and like paranormally kind of fitting to our aesthetic, and he doesn't really like that sort of stuff. He's very vocal about telling us he doesn't like that sort of stuff, but he appreciates the fact that we are trying to hold true to the historical value of the house. So we love all the spirits here in Marietta, but definitely the Lafayette is always one of our favorite go-tos, as well as the Anchorage. Marietta's definitely one of those hidden gems in Ohio that a lot of people kind of pass up, but when they get here, they're like, holy crap, I didn't realize all this was here.
Thank you so much, Viva. And if you want your story to be one of our featured story, make sure you just send it to Fireside Paranormal Podcast at gmail.com. You can either send the audio in, you can write it out, and we will read it. And if you're a paranormal group, I'd love for you to reach out to me. I would like to start including some highlights from cases or anything cool and fun or any new tips and tricks that you've tried out. I'd like to start incorporating that into the show as well. So if you are an investigator, make sure you email me as well. I think that could be a fun new addition. All right, I want to get to our guest tonight. I have Miss Amanda Crouch. She writes under the name A.L. Crouch. She is the author of the Guardian series and Kindred Letters. Amanda, are you with us?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Amanda, thank you so much for coming on today. Here's what's great for everybody listening. I've known Miss Crouch for a long time. She was actually my 9-year-old's first principal.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. So we go way back. Way back. How many years is that? Like 2 or 3?
I'm thinking 3 or 4.
I don't know how school works.
Well, I don't teach math, so I could be wrong.
Oh yeah, right. There you go. So tell me about your books. Tell me about the Guardian series. What is that about?
Guardian series is kind of a new spin or different spin on guardian angels. So the first one follows Alexandra. She was in a horrific accident when she was 7, 8 years old, and saw her parents murdered in front of her. Never found out who did it. Kind of moved on with her life, moved away. It's set in Saluda, North Carolina, up in the mountains near Asheville, for anyone who's a fan of that area. She comes back to kind of claim her family's home when she turns 21. And as soon as she comes back, she starts having memories, and the same evil that came after her parents comes after her as well. But she does have this sort of guardian angel looking after her. The problem is she doesn't believe in guardian angels or any of that, so she can't see him. She can only kind of hear whispers of him. So in order for him to protect her, she's got to sort of believe. So she kind of has to come to a place where she's a believer in that kind of thing again, which is hard, having seen your parents murdered and having lived through that. So in order for her to survive, she's got to sort of believe in this guardian that she can't really see and isn't tangible. She just has to kind of listen to her gut and the whisper. So there's a huge twist at the end, and things turn out to be not at all what you expect, and the angel is not at all what you think it is. And that's all I'm going to say, because you have to read the rest.
Oh, no. So, like, is it like a not good angel? Can you say, no, I guess you can't say that.
I won't say it's not good. It's just nothing you're going to expect.
Cliffhangers.
Cliffhanger, indeed.
Now, how many books are in the Guardian series?
There is 3 with a 4th pending.
Ooh.
It's about halfway written, but other books keep coming to me that have more need. So I'm hoping within this year perhaps, to finish that one up.
So with the books, what are the titles, and what is the order of the books?
Okay, so we've got Guardian, that's number one. Then we've got Messenger, and that one is about a man who is texting and driving and accidentally kills a woman and her 2 children who's jogging on the side of the road.
All right, so let me interrupt you real quick. The books,
Uh-huh.
they're not all in like, it's not like one continuous story?
No, they follow different people, but then the last one, the one I'm working on, is where they all come together.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So they're all related in some way. But this gentleman goes to jail, and then he starts to see the woman that he killed in his jail cell. And she is telling him that a bunch of people are going to die if he doesn't do something about it. So he has to figure a way to get out of jail to save all these people from dying.
Ooh.
Because the woman he killed tells him he has to, yes. So that is Messenger, and the last one that's out is Muse, and that actually ties in someone from Messenger. They all tie in from the last book. And that is a man who gets out of jail and wants to start a new life for himself. So he loves painting, so he becomes an artist, and he's got a studio in Wilmington, North Carolina. And then he kind of gets in a tangle with some unfriendlies, and they blind him, so he can no longer see to paint. So he kind of shuts up his doors in the studio, and he kind of becomes this recluse in his studio. And then one day he starts to see a young child that starts to visit him, and he can actually see this child. And so he starts to paint the child from what he can see in his mind, and then he becomes this famous sort of impressionist painter. But then he gets a knock on his studio door, and it's this woman who is missing the child, and it's the child he's been seeing. So I think he has to work with her and the child he's seeing kind of in his mind to save this kid. So that is Muse, and the last one will be Death, and they're all based on sort of angels. So you've got guardian angels, you've got the messenger angels, you've got the Muse, and then the last one is going to deal with sort of a twist on the Death Angel. So that's
Ooh.
that series.
So like Grim Reaper style?
Sort of, kind of think, Sodom and Gomorrah-ish.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the Guardian series. And then I've got the Kindred Letters, which is geared towards more the young adults, the teenagers, although they're selling it here on the island at Sunset Beach, and grown-ups are the ones who are eating it up more so. I know.
Well, doesn't that always happen? I think it's because most of us, our reading level is teenage. Because, like, I love I loved reading the Hunger Games and all that. It's young adult.
Oh, I just finished that series. But then I have to teach it because I'm teaching 10th grade English, and that's actually on the curriculum. And I was like, okay, let me give this a try. And then I'm hooked. And I'm fighting my son over the prequel right now. He won. He gets to read it first, which he should, because I bought it for him for Christmas. But I can't wait till he's done so I can read that one. Yeah. Don't give anything away. So yeah, Kindred Letters is geared more towards that audience, and it is about a kid named Josh, and I've got to tell you the backstory of this one. It's crazy, but Josh has lost his father. His father died of an opiate overdose, and so he and his mother moved to Sunset Beach. And for those of you who are not local, which I think is a majority, there is, at the very end of Sunset Beach, there is a mailbox that just sits out there in the dunes. And it's got a bunch of notebooks inside for anyone who want to wander 2 miles down the beach. And you can write poems, you can draw pictures, you can write to people who have passed on, which is what a lot of people do. And it was put up there about 60 years ago by a man and his girlfriend, and it kind of just remained. And now it's kind of this staple here in Sunset Beach. So Josh kind of discovers this mailbox, decides to write to his dad, and when he comes back days later, he's discovered that his dad, who has died, actually answers him back.
Oh, wow.
So that's what that one's about, yes.
Now, I know you had said before the genre, I guess, they put you in is called speculative fiction. What does that mean?
Well, that means it's basically grounded in reality, but there's this twist of the supernatural to it. So it's mainly realism, just a thriller, but it's got that curveball at you with any kind of supernatural element to it. So that would be considered speculative.
Now, what got you into, because I know you're into the paranormal, and that's kind of the basis on why you write, correct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Mine is not so much ghosts, although this interests me.
Uh-huh.
Big fan of ghost hunters and anything of that sort. But mine more goes towards a more spiritual level.
Okay.
So when I was a kid, I was in an abusive home, which is very common. So I don't mind talking about it. It's not a big deal for me. I'll talk to anyone who wants to talk about it. But my father was very abusive in many different ways. And I had an older sister who's a year older than me. And we would sleep in the same room. And a majority of the abuse would happen on Saturday morning. And Jordan, you know, Saturday mornings back when we were growing up was the time to get up out of bed.
That's the
and turn on
cartoons.
the TV. That's right. It was the cartoon. That was the only time you could watch cartoons was Saturday morning. Kids today just don't even know.
That was the best
But
time.
Saturday mornings was it. So I remember one particular Saturday morning, and this happened often, but I remember specifically there was one Saturday morning, and I really just want to get up and I want to go watch Looney Tunes so bad. That was always the first one that came on. I was like, I want to go watch Looney Tunes. And I heard my sister kind of climb down off the bunk bed and go out in the living room. And I was about to get up, and I just heard, just as clear as day, don't go out there. Like, just stay in bed till your mom gets up. Don't go out there. And well, I didn't. So I kind of listened, and I kind of just went back to sleep and waited for my mom to get up.
Uh-huh.
And so that kept happening, and I never understood why, but I would just listen to it. And years later, I found out that's really when my sister was getting the brunt of the abuse, was when she would go out there on Saturday mornings. So just things like that have always happened to me, and it definitely inspired Guardian.
I was getting ready to ask if that's where it came
definitely. Guardian was in my heart and my head, just collecting until I finally decided it was time to get it all out. Because she can see kind of glimpses of him in the mirror, and in my imagination, I used to say, I'm going to go through that mirror to another dimension and escape this place. So really, I mean, I guess creativity was a way of escape in a lot of ways.
Okay.
And so it definitely did. It definitely did give me the idea for Guardian, with the not being able to see, being able to hear, and having to follow, the faith that what is talking to you is trying to protect you. And so that definitely what gave me the idea for Guardian.
Well, let me ask you, because that happened when you were young. Did you get that at all throughout your life? Were there other pieces?
Yes, but just like in the story, you really have to be willing to listen to it.
Yeah.
And when you get in your teenage years, you don't want to hear anything from anybody. So I don't have much to talk about there. But there's instances of trauma in my life where I would be digging deep and I would hear direction on what to do next. Definitely. Yep. And that's basically where all my stories come from. Is it's hard to say. It's a muse, is what I like to call it, or guardian angel, whatever you want to call it. I believe it's from God, and I believe when I listen to it, then I'm in alignment with what I'm supposed to be doing, and that's where the words come from.
Very cool.
I don't want to take credit for all of it, because some of these ideas I would have never thought of on my own, for sure.
So do you think, because obviously Guardian is the title of one of your books, and it's kind of inspired by real life, do you feel like you have a real life guardian angel following you?
I do. You can call it guardian angel, you can call it Holy Spirit, I don't know, and I don't think I'm meant to know exactly, so I don't try to critique it so much. I just know when I'm in alignment with that thing, and it kind of downloads my stories to me. That's kind of weird to say. I swear I'm not crazy. But I'm a very visual person. And so sometimes if I'm struggling with a story, like this latest one I'm writing right now, Limbo Library.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just getting ready to ask you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I knew I wanted this story to be about a man who dies and goes not to heaven or hell, but he goes to this library kind of in between. And it's got the book of everyone's life who is in limbo.
Okay.
And whoever comes through there is assigned as the librarian, and it's their job to find their lives in these millions and millions of books and to fix what went wrong. The problem is you don't remember your life, because by the time you get to limbo, your life is just kind of gone. You don't remember any of it, but you have to find it. Problem is, every time you open a book, you have to fix whatever went wrong in that person's life before you can move on. And there's, of course, a ticking time clock. So I knew all those
that's
elements.
A twist.
Yeah, there's a ticking time clock. If he doesn't get it done in time, then off the hell he goes.
Oh.
So, if you don't have a ticking time clock, it's just no fun. You gotta add that.
The clock from hell.
Yeah, a clock from hell, hourglass from hell, really. But yeah. So I was trying so hard in my own power to kind of make that story happen, and I just hated everything that was coming out. Everything that was coming out sucked. So I kind of just set it aside. I'm like, okay, I'm going to wait for the Muse to strike, because I'm obviously just not ready to write this story. And so I kind of set it aside for a couple months. And then I got some tragic news that someone I knew and was kind of close with had committed suicide.
Oh, wow.
And and it kind of hit me pretty hard. I mean, I didn't know him in an intimate level. I wasn't, close friends with him. I never actually met him in real life. It was more of an online friend, and that kind of hit me really hard. And I was kind of thinking about that. And I always say my muse is a pervert, because it always strikes me in the shower. But honestly, that's where I get most of my ideas, is when just my brain's not thinking about anything else. Like, this is the best time to receive stuff. And so I'm in the shower and I'm just thinking about this tragedy. And I'm like, this is just horrible, and this keeps happening to people. And I teach high school now, so this is rampant in high schools as well. And so I was just kind of thinking about that, and that's when the story kind of downloaded to me. And it was my story kind of flipped on its side and, like, handed back to me.
Oh,
and suddenly all the pieces fit together, and I knew what the story was about and what it was supposed to say to people. So that's pretty cool. I'm excited to get back to work on that now.
So you have like 2 books you're halfway through on.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's ADD writing, right?
Usually I'm pretty thorough with beginning one and finishing. But Death, I started, and it was one of those things. So I'm an English teacher in high school, and every semester we have end of semester exams. So that's when I take out my notebook and my pen, because you can't be reading, you can't be on your computer, but I can jot notes down. And so while they're doing that, it takes 3 or 4 hours of just staring at kids take a test. That's when I usually plot out my stories. And so I went to plot out Death before I started it. Yeah, plotting my death.
So I'm sitting here watching these high schoolers do this test, so I figured I'd pull out a notebook and plot out Death.
That's so true on so many levels now that I think about it. Every teacher could agree, I think. Especially these last couple of years. But I was plotting, or trying to, and nothing was coming. So I'd get up, walk around, get back down, try again, and I did that a few times, and nothing was coming. And then the last time I sat down, this whole different story kind of downloaded to me. And I couldn't write it down fast enough. And I'm just writing it down to get it out of the way so I can get back to the matter at hand, because I needed to finish my series off.
Uh-huh.
And I knew it was going to be about a boy who comes to Sunset Beach, and this was before we lived here. We were still living in Cary, North Carolina at the time. And it was about a kid who loses his dad, comes to the beach, finds the kindred spirit mailbox and writes his dad, and his dad writes him back. Like, it's just 10 pages front and back, just flew. And the only thing I wasn't getting was my main character. I was like, well, who is this kid? And usually that's what I get first, because you kind of form your story around the people. But I wasn't getting the person. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. All I could get was, his name was Josh. So I wrote down Josh in my notebook. And then I thought, Hurley. Okay, Hurley. Josh Hurley. That's a good name. So I write it down. And then days go by, and I'm getting nothing. And so, I just start praying about it. I'm like, who is this kid that I'm supposed to be writing about? Like, what is this? And I got this overwhelming feeling that I had to go to the mailbox, because my story was in the mailbox.
Okay, so you actually went down to the mailbox where it is.
Yes, we went. It was 3.5 hours away.
Oh.
We had just been here for Christmas. It's February. It's like 20 degrees here at the beach right now. And my husband, God bless him, drove me all the way back here. And my two sons and I just went trekking 2 miles. It was freezing. Like snot-sticles were sticking to our face. It was so cold.
Wait, hold on. I got to pause real quick. So your husband drove you out there and was like, I'll wait here.
Yeah, he was like, peace out. No. Yeah, he doesn't walk to the mailbox if I don't make him, which was fine, because I knew I was crazy at this point. Like, I must be losing my mind. But I just knew my story was in this stupid mailbox. I'm like, okay. So his mom lived down here. So we came to visit her again, even though we'd just been here for Christmas. And I dragged my 2 poor kids. They were willing, though. I didn't make them. They were willing. All the way to the mailbox. And there's like 10 to 12 notebooks in there, like spiral notebooks and composition notebooks, all kinds of notebooks. So I hand them each a pile. And I say, tell me if you find anything cool. I don't know what I'm looking for. Just tell me if you see anything cool. And so there's benches out there. So we sit in the benches. And I'm going through my pile, and I'm not seeing a story. And I'm looking for, like, someone wrote a story that I'm going to then pick up and take off with.
Uh-huh.
Instead, what I found was this woman, and she had written on every other page of 3 or 4 of these journals, like every other page. And it wasn't till, like, the second journal, and I'm halfway through, and I realized she's writing to someone she's lost. And about the 3rd, 4th journal in, he finally named this person, and his name was Josh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
wow.
That's when I went, oh, crap, this is my story. The problem was she wrote a pen name. Like, she said, love Masha, Masha. And I'm like, what is Masha? So I take pictures of it. I know it's violating people's privacy. I'm so sorry. I promise I won't do it anymore. But I took pictures of it. And then on the drive home, my husband's driving, and I'm looking for Masha everywhere, and I can't find any Masha on Facebook, Twitter, nothing. Masha Sunset Beach, like nothing's coming up. So finally, I just look at obituaries, and I put in Josh, and that's where Josh Rizzo's obituary popped up. And I saw it was a young kid. And then I typed Josh Rizzo into Facebook, and a poem popped up. And it was signed Love Masha. And the person who posted that was Tina Rizzo, and it was his mom. Oh. So now I knew who the grieving mom was. I knew who the Josh was I was supposed to write about. But the problem was I had to reach out to her. And how do you say?
Yeah, how do you even go about that? So I was reading your diary.
Yes, I was reading your private thoughts. And I was wondering if I could kind of borrow your dead son as my main character for my book, because I think that's what I'm supposed to do. So, needless to say, I didn't have the guts to do that, and weeks went by. And there was one morning, 3 a.m., I just woke up, just straight up out of bed, and said, I have to do this right now. Like, something was pressing on me, like, now. And it was a Sunday morning, I was about to go to church, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. She's going to think I'm crazy. That's the worst that can happen. I don't remember what I wrote. She kept it. But I don't even remember what it was. But it was a big, long explanation about who I was. And I sent her my website so she could see I wasn't just some crazy person. I actually was an author. And that I really felt like I was meant to capture kind of the essence of who her son was as my main character. Not that I wanted to write a story about him.
Yeah.
Just that for some reason I think I was meant to use who he was and kind of formulate my main character around that. And I hit send. It was time to go to church. It took me that long. I hit send and went out the door and didn't think about it. And I'm sitting in the middle of service, and my phone is going crazy. And I look down, and it's Tina, and she was totally open to it. And the coolest part was she was only 45 minutes away at the time.
Oh, wow.
Because she was visiting her daughter. Yeah. So we decided to meet up the next day. Went down there, brought my notebook with me. And she and her daughter met me. We met at a Waffle House and in Sanford somewhere. Because they don't have a Starbucks. So Sanford, anyone's from there, you don't need a Starbucks, okay? Because Waffle House is all they have for a coffee place, and that's just not cool. So we meet at the Waffle House, and we're talking. She's showing me pictures of him, and I'm kind of writing stuff down. And I tell her that I wrote Josh in my notebook. And I show her where I wrote it in my notebook, the name Josh, and she kind of goes white, like in shock. And I said, well, what is it? And she's like, you said Josh Hurley. I said, yeah. And she was like, his favorite thing in the whole wide world was his Hurley sweatshirt that he wore like every single day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we all just start bawling, and it was just obvious at that point that this was a really, really important story. So, and it is. It's an amazing story, and I hope whoever is meant to read it one day. So yeah, that's where Kinder Letters came from. So stuff like that happens almost all the time, especially when it comes to the books and writing.
Wow. I got goosebumps. I have goosebumps on
Welcome to my life.
Well, you have some other news with Kindred Spirits that happened in the state, because you live in the state of North Carolina, obviously. But tell us about that.
Well, we actually moved to Brunswick County, which is where Sunset Beach is, to write this book, to finish this book. I took a year off. We moved down here. My husband's job was based down here anyway, where his mom lives. And so we moved in with her for a year, and I wrote for a year straight. And so everybody in Brunswick County knows about this book. It's being sold on the island of Sunset Beach at one of the stores there. And since getting a job at West Brunswick High School, I just applied to have it, at the prompting of a friend, applied to have it be taught at the county school level, and it was just approved. So teachers can actually teach my book in the public schools right now.
So you are officially able to teach Kindred Letters in North Carolina public schools.
Yes, sir.
That's a big deal.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, cool. How many authors are able to say, I'm on the list?
A few, but not many alive ones.
You got Mark Twain and A.L. Crouch. Yeah. Which one are we gonna go for?
No comparison. No.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but it is an honor. It's pretty cool.
Now, with paranormal stuff, you have a trip you're going on here soon that we had discussed. Tell me how that came about and what you're planning on doing with it.
Okay, so I was a single mom for the first 7-ish years of my children's lives, and that's a whole different story anyway. But our thing was ghost hunters. Like, that was our thing. Ghost hunters. We watched Fact or Fake back in the day, and we loved that show. Anything Josh Gates we love, especially when he did Destination Truth. We love Josh Gates. And my youngest son, he must have been 4 or 5, fell in love with The Haunted Collector. He loved that. So we've always watched that, and that was kind of our thing in the evenings to do. And Ghost Hunters actually came to Wilmington a few years ago before we moved here, and they were doing an investigation of the USS North Carolina in Wilmington.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes, and we wanted to go so bad, but we couldn't make it, couldn't afford it. I don't remember what the obstacle was, but it just didn't work out. And it was going to be Steve and Tango, and it didn't work out. So nothing has come. They haven't come back. But this Christmas, they're now 18 and 15. And so my husband and I were thinking about, now's a good time to go. So we were looking everywhere for one, and we found USS Yorktown in Charleston. If you have a group of 4 or more, they will take you on an exclusive tour of the Yorktown and hand you all kinds of paranormal investigation equipment and show you parts that aren't open to public. And you've got 2 to 3 hours to just go crazy ghost hunting. So we are so excited.
That's fun. That's going to be a blast.
I know. We're supposed to go in January, but then we had this crazy ice storm. So we rebooked for March. It's going to be warmer anyway, so we're good. We're good. Just a little longer to wait.
Now, you said before, too, this is the first ever investigation that you're going on.
Yes.
So what are you thinking? What are you going to take? What's your style? What's your tactic? I mean, you've been watching ghost hunters for years.
I have.
What's the plan of attack?
Oh, I don't know. That's the problem. I am so afraid I'm going to be a chicken, but I'm going to try not to. And Yorktown was actually on an episode of Ghost Hunters, we found out. We just finally got Discovery Plus so we could watch all the old ones that we used to watch. And Yorktown was on it. And so it's got a lot of activity, especially footsteps. There's an apparition that you can see on the deck. So I'm hoping that shows up for us. And just a lot of voices. So really, really we want to do the EVPs very badly.
Are you going to take like a video camera with you?
Maybe. Definitely take pictures with the cell phone. Definitely the EVPs. I am partial to the spirit box or the ghost box or whatever you want to call that thing.
Uh-huh.
I think it's cool. My kids think it's lame. So if they have one of those, that goes to me. But yeah, I don't know. I want to see how professional the guide is. So we'll see if it's just going to be gimmicky or not. I'm really hoping it's not. If it is, we'll have to find something a little more serious.
Now, if you come up here to where we are, we have a lot of haunted stuff within 30 minutes of where we are. We have the West Virginia State Penitentiary, which is a huge Gothic structure. It looks like a giant castle, and one of the most haunted locations in the state of West Virginia. And then right across the river from us, we have the Bel Air House, which is, one of the most active houses. It's on a lot of different TV shows, and there's a lot of, shows about it.
That's so cool.
So that's all right here. I mean, we got a lot of history in this area. So
do they have good people to take you out, though?
Yeah, there's a lot of the groups at the Pen do a great job. They do a great job. I've done a few. There's a lady that does some ghost hunting, like Ghost Hunting 101 classes there. Her name is Sherry Brake.
Cool.
Love her to death. She's like my paranormal mama. She's the one that got me into the paranormal stuff, the ghost hunting.
So cool.
But she does classes there, and we'll take groups through. I've done several, different events there, and I even used to rent the place out when I had my previous show. I used to rent it out, and we'd do a big event there once a year. But even then, you have a I don't want to say like a guard, but you have somebody there, staff that knows the area, and they take you through a tour where everything is before they set you free.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that would be a cool place to check out.
Heck yeah.
A battleship. I've never done a battleship, so I don't have any tips for that.
I think Yorktown is an aircraft carrier, if I'm not mistaken.
So it's a big one.
Someone in the audience is shouting, "That's not a battleship." Yeah, I think it's an aircraft carrier. Either way, it's going to be awesome, and I can't wait.
Yeah, if you got a few hours around that would be really, really neat.
Yeah.
I would recommend making sure you have some kind of audio recorder. I know you said that they were going to give you some equipment, but they're going to want it back at the end of the night. So if you get anything, they got it. They got it. You don't.
Good point. Yeah, you're going to have to send me some links of good things to get, because I'll totally do it.
Yeah, make sure you got flashlights.
Yes, we got that handled.
You got the flashlights. Headlamps work really well. That way I've been in the USS North Carolina. That's the only one that I've been in. There in Williamson, and it's short. Like you gotta like
Oh,
dip
I know.
down in metal, so having your hands
Oh
free
yeah,
will
we've been
probably
in there a few times. Definitely, yeah. Very tight quarters.
banging your head off stuff.
Yep. Yep. But that'll be fun too. All part of the experience.
With your books too, you do events, you do Comic Cons.
I have done a couple of Con-Cons, yes.
Tell
And
me about that.
We're definitely looking for another one. We went to Richmond a few years ago. I don't know dates. I'm thinking Richmond was probably around 2014, 15, so it was a while ago. Didn't really know what we were doing, kind of sat there. Mainly learned, I'll say. And then we went to Raleigh. When we lived in Cary, we went to the Raleigh one and did the whole weekend there, sold out every single day. So we definitely learned. We had the big prop behind us. I had the angel wings kind of dripping in blood a little bit. And then it was cool. It was so cool. I have pictures. And then we had kind of lights draping our table, and we put like this kind of ethereal material over it. It was cool. So sold out. Gave Shatner a copy of my book. That was cool.
Yeah, that's a must.
He was there. How can you not? He probably can't read it. His eyes are so bad. In person, his eyes are so cataract. Like, you can't tell on TV. But up close, it was kind of, wow.
Oh.
He can read this.
Well, he is getting older.
But he was really cool. Yeah, he was cool. Who else did we give it to? We did see Steve and Tango from Ghost Hunters at one of the Comic-Cons, and I almost lost it. It was awesome. But yeah, we really want to do one again. But Myrtle Beach doesn't get great Comic-Con, so it would have to be a traveling one. And that's kind of hard for us to do with two teenagers at home right now. But we are on the lookout. And then COVID, of course, ruined a lot.
Yeah, that's put a damper on a bunch of them. Sarah and I actually just started going. We've done 2 events. We did one in December, one in January. And we had a blast. The first one, we had no clue what we were doing.
Yeah.
So we just had like a regular table. It was a folding table. We were just like sitting there like, hi, everybody.
Yeah.
They got the gray top. And one lady felt so bad.
Something to catch people's eye. They're not coming.
One lady felt so bad afterwards. She was like, hey, I got this table cover. You guys could have it for the next
Yeah, you definitely learn after the first one. If you don't have something to draw attention, then there's too much else for them to look at. They're not going to see you.
Yep.
They're just not.
So, I might have to borrow the blood dripping angel wings.
Okay, I'll have to find them because I need them too. You can borrow them.
Yeah.
But I'm going to need them back.
I don't know. It depends on how many folks I get to the table with that thing.
Okay, maybe I'll make you your own thing.
There you go. I'll take that.
Okay, that'll work.
All right, so what's in the future for you? What are the plans? Are you?
Well, the big dream obviously is to become traditionally published because I'm self-published right now. So that's what I'm really hoping will happen with Limbo Library because the topic of library is obviously pretty hot right now. So if I can pump this out, get it edited, and ready to kind of present to literary agents, I'm hoping that's the big dream if they pick it up. And ultimately, I want to see it on a bookshelf in Barnes and Noble.
Wait, hold on. How many? I gotta ask this. How many self-published authors have their books that can be taught in public schools?
None. I think I'm the first. That's only because I had connections.
Hey,
but it is pretty cool.
That's awesome. Congrats on that.
Thanks. It's cool. I just hope whoever's meant to read it reads it.
Yeah.
So I don't care about the money. It's never been about the money for me. I've known I wanted to be a writer since I was in the first grade. So this was always a dream of mine. But life has a way of disconnecting you. So the future is just keep writing and writing and writing, whatever gets downloaded to me to do, whatever assignment I'm on next, I'll pump that out and hopefully retire as a writer.
Now, do you think that there's going to be other Guardian books, or are you wanting to start a new series?
After death, probably not. At least for a while. I know there's going to be more Sunset Beach books for sure. For sure. I've got a few ideas for that. So, and I've got a pretty good audience down here, so I'd be kind of dumb not to give them a few more while I'm waiting. Because Limbo Library is probably going to take a long time to to hit the market if it does get picked up. So in the meantime, I'll probably pump out some more about the Kindred Spirit mailbox because it's just such a cool topic anyway. Just the whole mailbox thing. I got to meet the man who put it up 60 years ago. He was 92 when I met him. He passed away a couple of years ago. But
Oh, that's pretty
it's
neat.
such a fascinating thing that this whole town has adopted this mailbox, and I just think it's so cool that people from all over the country and sometimes other countries come and write in this mailbox. And it's fascinating to me how it kind of brings people together like that. So I plan on writing a few more of those. You just never know. I wait for the next assignment and I do it up and hope for the best.
Now, if somebody wants to get your books, where can they find it?
They are on Amazon under A.L. Crouch. Got the Guardian series, and then the Kindred letters are up on Amazon right now. So
Now, are they
find
just digital? Can you get a print copy?
Oh no, they're digital and print. So you can get it on Kindle if you have a Kindle, or you can have it delivered to your house.
Very cool. Now, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, let's say they have an idea, want to learn a little bit more about this mailbox you got going on at Sunset Beach, what's a good way to connect with you?
Well, my email is crouchwrites, and that's CROUCH writes @gmail.com. That's my email. ALCrouch.com is the website. AL Crouch on Facebook and Instagram. So any of those.
And if they message you on social media, are you going to message back?
I really will, I promise.
There you
Always
go.
do.
So I can think of a
Always
couple
do.
people right now that would want these books, so I just want to
Awesome.
make sure they have a way
Awesome.
to get it.
I hope whoever is meant to read them finds them. That's my only request.
Very cool. Amanda, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Keep writing. Glad to hear, everything's going well. And like I said before, big congrats on getting Kindred letters, being able to be taught in public school. I mean, that's a cool thing. And I want to get you back on when that next book comes out, even if it's just to say, hey, I got another book out. Here's what it is. Okay?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And with that, the fire is out. I want to thank Amanda again for coming on the show. Remember to check out Wicked Cat Clothing. They are clearing out their Krampus merch, so get on that. Fireside 30 is a discount, 30% off. Make sure you check out our social media pages, Facebook, Fireside Paranormal Hub, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Join it, follow it, have a good time with us. Go to our website, firesideparanormal.com. Check out our merch. And until next week, everybody, don't be afraid, only believe.